right. I don't know about you, but I grew up. I'm an '80s baby, so grew up with '80s music, and I grew up with those old '80s like shows, and also some of the movies that were out, and some of them talked about AI. How many of you guys remember Knight Rider? How many of you guys remember that? Raise your hand. I'm dating myself. Probably remember Kit. That was some AI. How about the Terminator? The whole thing. I'll be back and Skynet. Those were all fantasy. Those were all things that we would watch as a kid, and we would wonder, like, man, wow, I wonder if that's really going to happen. Well, it is. It's here. It is here. We are going to be talking about how AI, ChatGPT, all these different things have infiltrated one, our life, but most importantly, the realm of content creation and also podcasting. So get ready tonight. We have an amazing lineup of people and experts that we're going to be talking about tonight. So make sure you have your questions ready right after this. Let's go and get started. All right. So tonight we have a stellar group. Before I get to them, I just want to say hello to some everybody that's out there in the audience. We will be making sure that we connect with you, those of you who are in the audience tonight, having your questions, comments, thoughts about this topic that we are going to be talking about a little bit too. But before that, just want to let everybody know where we are. We are broadcasting, of course, on LinkedIn. Make sure you can connect with us over there, Podcasters Live on LinkedIn as well. And then also, everybody that's actually going to be here tonight, they are broadcasting, of course, on their various platforms too. We have an amazing Facebook group, Podcasters Live. Make sure you go there and connect with us there as well. And then, of course, on YouTube as well. Everywhere Podcasters Live, we are there. So just want to make sure you guys understand that too. All right. So a couple of things before we move forward. You know, we welcome you here tonight, but one of the things that has actually been very popular for us at Podcasters Live, and we do this every Saturday, and it is our Saturday Live training. We grab a different topic from our community and we talk about it, and the old professor in me kind of kicks in, and I feel like I'm actually back in university teaching, and I actually love those opportunities to kind of share content with you as well. One of the other things that we got going on too is that we do have, and we just launched our coaching program, and that is from concept to creation, creating your first podcast season. And it's super important that you just understand this real quick, that about 50% of podcasts fail. And namely, they fail because of pod fade. And pod fade happens after the seventh episode, typically. What we do is help you kind of leapfrog and jumpstart your podcasting and live streaming career by creating an entire season, which is 12 episodes. That automatically puts you well ahead of the majority of podcasters who actually start. So one of the things we try to help you figure out your concept so you can speak like yourself, but more importantly, you can create content that your audience is going to love. So you'll see this little QR code kind of throughout tonight. If you are interested in it, make sure you go ahead and check that out. All right. So let's go ahead tonight. We got three amazing guests. We have the amazing, outstanding Sherry Jones, and she is the queen of LinkedIn Live, and she is also a personal branding pioneer. And as she often says, she has the receipts to prove it. And we also have Corey Gums. He is the founder of Black Podcasters Association. And then we also have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. James Hicks. He is an advocate. He is a supermodel, and he is also an IT and live streams extraordinaire. You'll see what I'm talking about when I say supermodel. He's looking good tonight. All right, I'm going to bring him to the stage. What's going on, guys and gals?
You so crazy. You so
I'm so
crazy.
blessed to be in the presence of a supermodel.
Watch
I ain't
yourself now.
never
Hold
met
on
one
now.
before. Look at
Watch out
that.
now.
It's looking
Watch your
so
tone.
crispy and clean.
The Lux
So
is
Chris,
working
Happy to
today,
be
boy.
here.
The Lux is working.
yes, it is, man. Yes, it is. One thing I want to do real quick. We're gonna get to the comments and say hello to everybody as well too. I want to go around the horn and have you just kind of do quick little introduction, to yourself, so that way we can go ahead and get started. And we're gonna start with ladies first. We're gonna start with Cher Jones.
So, hey everyone. I, as Steve mentioned, am a personal branding pioneer. I can actually claim that and own it. But what I do help is people develop their personal brands at work and, of course, create content. So, whether it's live streaming and creating other types of content at work, I'm your girl. I can help you out. So, yeah, I think that's all I got to say. I'm really excited about the topic. It's going to be awesome.
Excellent, excellent. All right, my man from Queens, from Queens. Better rapper than Nas. No, that's what he said, but I don't know about that one. I
I
don't know.
never said
I,
that.
I don't know about that one, man. No, my man Corey Gomes, go for it, man. Tell everybody about yourself real quick.
Hey, I'm happy to be here to be a part of this conversation. My name's Corey Gums. I'm the founder of the Black Podcasters Association, as well as a web developer, which is a little known secret. But that's my claim to fame right now. I'm not a better rapper than Nas. I might be up there though.
You, we may have to
Oh.
put you on the spot tonight then. After we talk about AI and all of this stuff. My man, this dude, I've known him since I really started live streaming, and he's always been a massive support. Somebody I can call in the middle of the night, or just early in the morning, just thinking about an idea or a concept, and he will always answer the phone and have time for me. So, my man James, how you doing tonight?
I'm well, sir. Thank you again for the invite. James Hicks, folks. I'm an engineering technologist driven by discovery, focused on purpose, founder of Hicks New Media, where we do digital publishing and technology consulting. So I'm definitely looking forward to this conversation today.
Excellent, excellent. All right. So before we go ahead and get started, so we got Mr. Hicks already in there, dropping some stuff in there. During this broadcast, you can support my page. There you go. Make sure you go
And
that.
listen, we got to get this money, man.
You gotta
Ain't
get that
nobody
money.
playing.
You
We
gotta get that money.
get this
What's
money.
up, Lloyd? We have Lloyd in the building. Thank you, sir, for stopping by. Thank you so much for stopping by. How are you doing, Florence? Good to see you here tonight as well. And Cher's, of course, in the building. She's talking about she's super excited to be here. Of course, Florence is saying hello to everybody. And then, of course, Lloyd says, this whole panel looks like supermodels. you, you know, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Lloyd, you missed them all putting on their makeup before we started. I'm not lying.
We can do it. We can do it one more again if you need to. We can do a little session. We can do it one more time if you need us to.
Oh my goodness. All right, here we go. So here we go. All right. You guys know me. I always like to set a foundation before we start everything, and then we're gonna build upon all of that stuff as well. We're gonna be talking about this AI and podcasting, but I always want to start with this, because if we don't do it, then I think everything else is kind of almost not obsolete, but it doesn't make any sense. And I just want to get everybody's perspective on this one. So as we start to think about AI and podcasting, I think we need to have a different perspective and definition of what podcasting is, right? I started podcasting in 2007. It meant something completely different back then than it does now. I know Cher has an amazing perspective on it. I've actually stolen that, and I've actually been utilizing that. So we're going to go with her last. And I'm going to actually ask James to kind of talk a little bit about what his thoughts around this, what a podcast is, so that way we can kind of move forward.
Right on. And my definition is definitely going to be out of left field as well, probably different than anyone else's, because I don't even use the word podcast. I use the word infocast, right? When I talk about what it is that I do. But in the context of what a podcast is or what an infocast is, it's just digital storytelling. Right. It's taking advantage of technology from a digital perspective and telling stories, reaching your audience, reaching your community. So again, it can be either audio, it can be video. It can be actually textual as well, right? The old school blogs. But long story short, my definition of a podcast or an infocast is a digital story that you're telling.
Okay, excellent. How about Corey? And now, Corey, I know you have a good perspective on this as well, too.
Well, I'm an audio person, so my background is in music as well. So I call myself a purist. I consider podcasts what it is and what it started as, which is audio storytelling and audio format that people can download into their players and listen to. I still believe like people use it when they're doing other things. They're listening when they're doing other things.
Mm,
I know for me during commuting and traveling and stuff, it's a
sorry.
big thing for me to have a podcast downloaded into my phone. I don't want to be distracted with video. I'm doing other things, so I'll stick with the audio purist definition.
Yeah. All right. And then last but certainly not least, and she always has a great perspective on certain things, and I want to get her perspective on this one as well. So go ahead and share. Let us know what your thoughts are.
Okay, so I am still going with a produced conversation for 100 because that's what I believe it is. And I'm unlike Corey, where I'm stuck to the original format because you got to think of when podcasting came out, these other formats weren't there. So, I mean, it's just evolved with the times. And I think it's just easier to look at it as a produced conversation.
Nice, nice. One of the things I've come to learn with this whole podcasting journey is that I think we have gotten the delivery method, we've trumped everything else, right? I think it's the conversation. When I started podcasting in 2007, we weren't concerned about the distribution method. I think we were more concerned about the actual conversation and the audience and what we wanted
Mm,
to actually put out there. And then it
hmm.
wasn't until we were introduced to RSS feeds and kind of the delivery method of a podcast that we started really kind of calling ourselves podcasters. But I think when we initially started out, we were creating those produced conversations and actually making sure that we were putting out something that the audience actually wanted to hear. Nowadays, and the statistics will actually show this, is that if you ask someone about a podcast, typically, or say, where's the last place you listened to a podcast? You guys know what the answer is? It's YouTube. That's
Mhm.
actually that's actually the place now where the majority of people say that they've actually listened to a podcast. I want to move into this AI conversation right away because I know that's what everybody's kind of come to hear and kind of talk about. When you first heard about, we're going to talk AI, but I think Chat GPT and there's so many other platforms that are out there. When you first heard of like kind of AI sort of taking over, if you will, or being used in the content creation space, what were your initial thoughts? Because all of you are content creators in your own perspective. I want to know, what was your initial kind of thought? Did you embrace it? Were you nervous about it, or did you actually start to utilize it for your benefit? I'm going to talk to Corey first.
Well, for me, I was already like hip to like machine learning and AI and stuff for years before it hit the general public. So I kind of saw stuff coming its way. I would go to like Google meetups and stuff like that when I was in school, and I saw what people were doing with it already. So my initial reaction was, well, there it is. It's finally here. I think I was more intrigued by how people were going to apply it into creation space, and wanted to, I'm still watching and seeing how people are using it in different ways, and it's almost like, I'm amazed on how they figured that out.
Mm. Now, James, you are well entrenched in the IT
Mm,
space, right? With Dell
yeah,
and everything else that you do. Now, you probably saw this coming, years ago.
yeah,
When
man.
so let me, if you can walk me back those years when you first started learning a little bit about it until now, and what are your thoughts about it now and where it's actually going?
Well, give the 35,000 foot level discussion, right? You're right. From the enterprise technology, enterprise IT perspective, we saw cloud computing, we saw distributed networks, we saw distributed infrastructure, we saw artificial intelligence coming into play many years early on. And I see my friend Tech Troublemaker, who's also in the enterprise
Hmm.
IT world. So again, we knew this was already there. It's just now coming to the fruition of the consumers seeing it and having access to it, having capabilities and platforms where they can utilize it, the perplexity.ai's, the chat GPTs, things like that, where they can actually take advantage of this technology. But this is nothing new. This is almost like the social media impact. Uh, on our youth, right? Again, there was a the Netflix show called, what was
Yeah,
it called? The
yeah.
social
That
media dilemma. And I think I've
yeah.
had this
I
conversation
think it
with
was
you,
social media dilemma. I think that was it.
right? And again, we kind of saw this ahead of time coming into fruition, to whereas it was going to start being more entrenched in everyday work, everyday life, everyday just activities. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just be aware of it. And I'm sure we'll probably get into that conversation a little bit more. But, again, long story short, the fact of the matter that artificial intelligence has always, not always been here, but has been here for a while. And it's going to continue to evolve, continue to maybe even pivot a little bit. It may get better, it may get worse. But again, they're just, as long as there is some type of oversight in terms of how it's utilized and taken advantage of, then there'll be some value in it. From a content creator perspective, again, there's pros and cons to it. And again,
Yeah.
being real intentional in terms of how you utilize these platforms and these tools is probably, again, what we're going to get into a conversation about. But yeah, this, and it's nothing new, man. It's just,
Yeah.
now it's on these TVs and you're seeing it on CNBC. And now the general public, the consumers, are saying, oh man, my kids can now use a AI driven algorithm to write their term paper in school. Right.
Yeah, and that I'm gonna get to share here in a second too, but we're gonna talk a little bit about the ethics, right, around AI.
Mm-hmm.
We see it in the educational space, right? I have several friends who are professors who are dealing with that issue right now with papers and sort of AI detectors and different things like that. So we'll talk a little bit more about the ethics, around that too. Cher, I want to get your perspective on this concept and idea around when you first started to learn about so much AI in your space, in your personal branding space, and what you've been actually doing. We're going to talk to share too about something else. She's become almost a little bit of an expert in this whole idea around prompt engineering, because we want to maximize the AIs that we use. So we'll be talking a little bit more about that, but I just wanted to tease that a little bit. Share, go ahead.
Okay, so for me, it's one thing to hear about it. It's one thing to kind of see it in the distance, but when you actually use it, that is where, for a bit, I'll be honest, the fear set in. Because I think as creators, we romanticize our ability to create. We romanticize how good we are at what we do, which is not a bad thing. And in ways that, when you're an expert at something, so if you're an expert at writing and or putting together, like producing or editing or whatever, when you can see how easily, at least at face value, that you can be replaced, it's a reckoning moment. Like, you literally come to Jesus and be like, oh my gosh, what do we have here? And I saw this quote where it's like, AI won't replace you. Somebody who knows how to use AI will replace you. So with that quote, that really made me jump in with 2 feet, and just really, I gotta figure this out. And then I gotta figure out how it makes me faster, how I can help my clients use it, show them how to use it, because it's that of being ahead of the pack, right? And for me, I'll be honest, it scared me. It still scares me, but I'm just like, I feel like I do it anyway and figure it out.
There you go. And figure it out. I think one of the things that we have with everything, right? I think about 2 years ago it was Clubhouse, right? When Clubhouse first came out, me as a kind of a podcast enthusiast, and I call myself sort of a podcast purist. I never thought podcast was going anywhere, but everything was, oh my gosh, is Clubhouse going to take away podcasting? What is that going to do for podcasting? I was like, dude, this is just another thing. And guess what? Podcasting and everything else is still here. One of the questions that I do want to ask, and I'm going to get back to the comments in a second because I want to keep this moving. One of the questions I do have is how how were you? Because we're going to talk about ChatGPT and all these other pieces, right? Because that's the most prevalent one that's out there. But I almost have a thought, because James, you were talking a little bit about since AI, you and Troublemaker have been in this industry for a long time, and you guys were like, this was already back there. I almost felt like the government was like, give them that, like with Chat GPT, and some of these other pieces that are out there. It's like they already had this stuff like locked up, and they were like, you know what? Just gotta give them that, and they've already been utilizing that. When you guys started to before ChatGPT, what was your process, if you will, for creating, your content, and if is it still the same, or are you utilizing, AI within your content creation space? James, since you shaking your head like you in church, like
Yeah,
you
that's good.
want to say something.
Well, that's and I'm over here like holding my tongue because I wanna ad lib and I want to go all into some of
Go
these
for it,
things,
man.
brother. But I'm gonna be respectful of your time. I'm gonna stay in my lane.
No,
Uh,
man.
so all of my YouTube shorts are written by the Captions app on iOS, utilizing the AI tool built into that. Every single short that I write. Right. I give it a topic and I let Captions come up with the transcript. And then, of course, I ad lib and come up with it and post it out 30, 60, 90 seconds. That's primarily where I use artificial intelligence for content. But again, back in the day, it was ML, it was AI, so machine learning, artificial intelligence. There was AR and VR. Again, they're new to the consumer space because they're becoming more feasible and more cost effective. But that technology has been around for such a long time, but it was just very cumbersome. Think about all you old school web designers. Dreamweaver back in the day. Dreamweaver was tough. HTML was
Right?
tough.
It was
Yeah.
Right?
hard.
Come on now, we flashing back, right? So back in those days, but when there was only a small subset, a minority of folks that were doing that, and now look at it, we got WordPress, we got Wix, we got Squarespace. So as the technology has evolved and become more and more easy, think about digital publishing, where you had to be, certified, or you had to be trained in all of digital publishing applications. Now we got Canva. Canva does everything, right? So again, as the technology continues to evolve and becoming more consumer focused as opposed to the engineering and the technology person focus, that's when it becomes more mainstream. And that's when you get more and more folks talking about it because they're taking advantage of it, they're utilizing it and understanding how it can benefit them. I like what Cher was saying, though. Again, don't be afraid of this. Find a way to harness this and use it to your advantage. Don't be scared. You can't be scared of it because it's here. It's not coming. But find a way to leverage it and take advantage of it, and don't let it overshadow you. You know what I'm saying? It's one of them things. It's already here, but use it to your benefit as opposed to shying away from it. And that's really a statement to folks in the audience as opposed to just the panel itself.
No, agreed. Cher, I feel like you had something to say. You want to say something?
No, I was just kind of like clapping it in church, right? Because James was absolutely
Clap, clap.
knocking it out as far as like clap, clap. We do need to use it. You do need to figure it out, and you need to figure it out quickly because it is faster than you. It is better than most people for certain things. But then it's like, if you are an expert, that means if you know how to wield this tool and really dive deep in how you're using, it will help you produce faster. And that's where it's like the speed of being able to do something. The all of a sudden, if we're really smart in 6 months, what Gary Vee says about, creating 100 content pieces a day, we will all be able to do that.
Right.
Not that I want to, but I'm saying that's the reality of it. It will help you produce faster, but it's about infusing you, especially your personal brand, your voice, your energy, and this is why live streaming and being able to be on video, being able to be on stage is going to be that much more important, because like we're going to trust you more that you actually know what you're saying, and it's not some AI talking points that are putting that out there for you. And I think be sure your knowledge will find you out. Like that the way you're showing up, if you're showing up for real, it'll show up and you'll just know. So I mean, it's scary, but it's coming. It's here. It's here.
Now,
So
Corey,
I mean, Cher,
go ahead, James.
one thing, maybe because what Cher just said, it just makes sense, right? Don't be complacent, folks, in terms of just loading up ChatGPT or Perplexity.ai, because that's my favorite one. That's one I use all the time. But don't just be lazy and type in a search query and take that for 100% gospel. Do your work. go through the process of validating these sources and validating the information that comes out. Yeah, it's going to improve and streamline your workflow to an extent. But if you put all these eggs and assuming that what's spit out of ChatGPT is 100% accurate, and you're the one on stage trying to be that subject matter expert or that trusted advisor to whoever you're talking to, and some of that data is incorrect, you're going to be the one standing there with egg on your face. So do the work,
Yeah.
right? Don't be lazy about your content creation. And like Stephanie Lou used to say, no drive-by live streams, right? Actually have a plan about what it is that you do. So
Come on, man.
all right, I'll be
Come on.
quiet now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, all right, please, man, please. I'm gonna have to mute you here now. I'm just messing with
I
you.
know.
Now,
Golly.
now, Corey, you deal with the other side, really, if you will, from a content creation and podcasting standpoint, right? Where you help a lot of clients with this, and I know you create content yourself too, but I think you have a unique perspective too, where you actually help other people kind of with their content creation. What was your process, before ChatGPT and some of these other pieces, and how are you utilizing it now within your kind of workflow?
Before I did like everybody else, piece of paper, get a
Come
book,
on, man.
you're doing all these different things. You're going on Google. I mean, I still do it with ChatGPT. Because I know like how learning works and stuff like that. I don't rely too heavy on it as a place to get facts from.
Mm,
Because I know, the error rate, depends on the error rate and all that stuff of the models and stuff and the data that's put in them. But I've started utilizing it. It's like with the newsletter that I run, right? I'll run content. I'm not a great writer, so I'll run my content through there, let it clean it up. I'll edit it. I'll make whatever adjustments I need to. And I could tell you from writing my 2 months ago, writing my newsletter and writing everything out, and then now doing it that way, it has sped up my time so much. It went
mm,
from me spending all day curating the content to now cutting it down to a few hours. Um, as far as you know, the type of clients I work with it's they're very I want to say scared of it, and I try to just encourage them, like what Cher was saying, is like use it as a tool. Let's learn how to
hmm
figure out how to use this as a tool to help shore up those processes or those areas where you might be struggling or you might need to become a little bit more efficient. I'm still testing out and learning more things about like how to use it in the editing process. Um, I've been playing around with the Adobe
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
audio. I'm considering, I'm an audio person, so it's like, it's amazing, but um, I'm still trying to figure out for myself like where in my workflow and the type of things that I work on um, where it actually applies. I haven't had a chance to use out some of the different. It's like so many different software and applications are rolling out every
Yeah.
day now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's
Mm-hmm.
hard to keep up and to
Yeah.
figure out which one works best for you. So uh like I'm still waiting for my for Google to let me, I'm on a waiting list for Google's so I could test that one out. So I'm just like in an
Uh,
exploratory phase with it and seeing what works and what doesn't for me.
yeah. Well, we do have a question, and so it's a question about one of the other ones that it's out there, Bard. Has anyone on the panel, been familiar? I got approved for it, and I have been using it, but not as much, as some other ones. And I find it okay, but I don't find it as kind of intuitive as some of the other ones too. But I want to get somebody else's perspective if someone else has had any experience with Bard. James or Corey. We'll share.
Yeah, no,
I
I
haven't
can't
gotten
get
it.
it because I have a Google Workspace account, so I have a business account as opposed to personal account with Google. So they're only opening it up to personal accounts right now. So no, I don't have it.
Okay. All right. And
Me
I'm
neither.
still on the waiting list for
you're
it.
still on the
Yeah.
waiting list. Okay. All right. Well, I got mine.
Yeah.
I'll have a little more feedback, on that, kind of down the line. And just to remind everybody, if you have a question, make sure you go ahead and put a Q in front of it, so that way we can get it. You can pose it to the group, even if it doesn't have a Q in front of it. I'll figure it out. But that's how we roll.
Steve, can I say
That's
something real
that.
quick?
Yeah. Go for it, man.
Yeah, I'm more excited for that Chat GPT because Google is the internet basically. So I'm interested in seeing how they implement all that terabytes of data that they or petabytes of data at this point that they have and how it's going to interact with their AI and machine learning platform. So I think I think it's going to push a lot of them out of the water, like a lot of those other competitors out of the water, because of the access that they have to all the data they've been collecting for the past 20 to 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And with that data, right, that actually helps kind of speed up the learning process. Is that where you're going with this? Is that what you're talking about a little bit?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. All right. One of the
Well,
things that I often say about all of these things out here is that it doesn't have a soul, right? None of these AIs, for me, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm low on the technology pole, and I'm not sure, but I feel that each and every one of them, they don't have a soul. So whatever you put in there and whatever you get out, it's very soulless. It is just content. It's something that you actually still have to put life into as well. I want to
Mhm.
ask this question. What is, even having said that AI doesn't really have a soul? What's one thing that AI, we've already kind of alluded to it a little bit, but I know there's probably more. What's one thing that AI does that we as content creators lack? And then I'm gonna flip it, and I'm gonna flip that and and ask it the other way. So my first question is, what does AI have right now that we as content creators kind of lack? And I'm gonna ask Cher, go first with this one.
It's really speed and access to information and producing it and turning it around at lightning speed. I think that's the number one piece right there. I think though, as much as we're saying, AI doesn't have a soul, I think the more you get to wield the technology, the more you get to feed it your voice. So at a
Mm,
standalone, no, it has no soul. But if you are throwing in your words, your language, the stuff that I'm seeing it throw back at you sounds a lot like you. So that's the interesting thing where it's getting very scary. But what does it have for sure? Speed and its ability to produce the volume and how fast it can. So that's where I'm at with it.
excellent, James.
I laugh. Are literally hand in hand on this. I was going to say efficiency and the ability to scale.
Mm,
Right.
Mm,
mm,
That just
mhm,
is what it is. Being able to streamline workflow, able to do it efficiently, being able to scale efficiently and get more done within a short time just by utilizing technology, by leveraging technology the right way, you can actually grow your brand, your business, your efforts more systematically by taking advantage of these pieces of technology. And I like what everyone is saying as well, because like I said,
yeah.
I use the captions AI tool on the iOS for all of my shorts. It has the ability to change the tone, right? It can be a professional tone, it could be a formal tone, it could be more of a conversational piece. So I'll get that transcript spit out, but again, I will ad lib and add my own personality, my own flavor into it. So not just taking the raw output and regurgitating that,
Mm,
but actually throwing in some James Hicks flair into it,
mm,
talking with the hands and doing all of those things. But so again, leverage the technology,
mm,
understand that it is a good thing. And one thing that I wanted to say before I forget, because I'm old, right? And
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna go
yeah.
back.
We
I know
know.
you probably want to
We
talk to
know.
Corey, but this is a question for Corey, right? So we've talked about ChatGPT, we talked about GPT-4, Perplexity AI, things of that nature. But on the AI side, from the audio side, audio podcasters, have you like taken advantage of Crisp? Have you taken advantage of maybe like what is the mix mastering on like
Yes,
Buzzsprout?
yes, yep.
Is that what it's called? Mix
It's
mastering?
mixed
Right. So
mastering,
again,
just like a
the
phonics.
ability to clean
Yes.
up the sound and things of that nature. I mean,
Hmm.
those. What do you feel about those tools from an audio side, pushing out your content, right? Really helping with cleaning up the noise and things of that nature.
Corey.
And that was a question
Oh,
for
on
you,
that
Corey.
one, to answer your question, it definitely speeds up the process, right? Everything that it does is efficiency and helping with the workflow. So on the audio side, where trying to figure, sometimes there'll be that little frequency you hear, but you can't figure out how to get it out. I think I like what it does. I'm not too impressed by it because I think it's too generic.
Mm,
The part of
Mm,
audio, the audio side, like mixing and mastering, comes down to the ear of the person who's doing it and what, like, I guess, like you're saying, the soul, like what you're trying to get out of it, right? What kind of sound, what kind of feeling. You can't get that. So it's like it's gonna be just like, 16 loves. This is how to compress. It goes by the theoretical process and not the little tips and tricks that you'll do that a human will do to trick your ears and stuff like that. So it works very well if you're just looking at it from that point of like, oh, let me just run it through here, or let me figure out how to mix it down or get rid of that noise reduction or
mhm.
those little things that sometimes can be very tedious. It's a matter of tweaking the knob here and there. But I from what I've seen, my own taste, it does lack a little bit of the creativity side of experimentation that a person would do in a studio behind the board. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
but
there.
it
I
does
respect
definitely
that from
speed
an
up the
audiophile.
process.
Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm kind of in Corey's camp a little bit with this one because even though I love live streaming and I love video podcasts, I'm an audio first podcaster too myself as it relates to the first thing that I focus in on when I create a podcast, and then everything else kind of comes secondary. Just because I feel like it's always going to be around. I'm not saying a video podcasting and things aren't going to be around. I just feel like audio is always going to be around. It's just because the intimacy level with audio podcasting is something different that you really can't get anywhere else. And so, one of the things that I didn't want to talk about there, I was just listening to something the other day, and they had a recording, and it was Jay Z, and Jay Z was actually rapping. However, it wasn't Jay Z. It
Mm.
was AI, and the AI sounded 100% like Jay Z. I said all of this to say is because everybody
Crazy.
in the Robert, Matt, and Jay, we have a couple of questions. I know we're going to get to you here in a second. I just want to let you know that as well. I hate to say this because I'm going to stir the pot, but I got to say it because I think it's going to happen. I think we're starting to move into almost an arena to some degree where people aren't going to start to care, about Corey,
Mm.
what you and I are talking about, like the little tweaks and the the mixed mastering, and
Mm,
things like that. I think over time, right, there may be a a a slight, I guess, community of whatever genre of music or whatever it is that's not going to really care. We already see this in some degree in podcasting. I don't know if you guys know this, but over in India, or over in some of these other countries, we have reduced from a podcasting standpoint. We have actually reduced the bandwidth that it takes to actually play something. So if we're actually playing something over here with a storage file that's actually fairly large, over there the storage file is actually we it's actually very small, and guess what happens, the sound quality and everything else kind of goes to pot, but they're still getting the content. That's why I say that. Apologize for the long-winded question or diatribe here, but I wanted to get your perspective on, do you think people over time are still going to care, or what, or are we in a world right now where we just need to kind of give up and just allow AI to kind of create its own thing? Chair?
mm. Wow.
Chair Jones?
Wow.
Um, Interestingly, the with the example in India, because we here in North America, we're spoiled, right? We are spoiled to the level of quality that we expect.
Come
And
on. Come on.
how quick are we to click away if something first of all hasn't caught your attention than the first 4 to 5 seconds, right? Like long countdown timers and everything like that. Okay, but but
Well, hold
like
on a second.
when
You
something
know, when you say
sounds
something wrong,
This is Sparta!
kick you out. That's what happens when you say something I
kick
don't like.
me out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm always gonna get on you and your countdown timer. But as far as like our our palette for mediocrity
Mm,
is getting less and less, right? Especially as we have these prosumer tools. We've got people who have like gas out the yin yang. They're buying so many amazing tools that even like the regular content creators now to level up because of this gas being that, or because they need this type of content to keep up with like just the regular content producers, not the content producers with the FX30s and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, but that's I don't think that's going to happen
Who's he talking to?
in Western culture. Oh,
You,
who am I
James.
talking to? I just think that
My
our
goodness.
palette for excellence and like good content will rise to the top, and sometimes
Mhm.
good content is
Mm.
also subjective because it depends on what they want to feed them, right? So it's a I don't think that's going to happen here. I
Mm,
think the expectations will be higher for even
mhm,
basic people, like basic content to I mean basic people, but basic content to come out. We've already raised the stakes. I think that in a country like India, where it just the population is so, and also the technology, as far as availability to the average person, it's just not as accessible. So you get what you get, and don't get upset for now.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the sooner that bandwidth
Mm.
increases, it's gonna be a whole different ballgame.
yeah. I agree. I love Robert already. I scrolled past it a little bit, put it out there. He said it's already happening around equality. And Ilya, I think
Mhm.
if I pronounced it correctly. I love what she's talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Used Adobe Podcast to clean my podcast quality, and it's impressive. There has been some times when it makes my voice sound like I'm holding my breath. Yes, I've been there, done that, and I know exactly what you're talking about. But overall, it's great. Very useful for those having podcast guests with echo on their end. There are so many different pieces and qualities, or excuse me, softwares that are out there to actually help you kind of clean up your audio. But I wanted to kind of get back to my question around the quality aspect, James. Um, what are your thoughts that are where do you see that love or dislike or kind of like desensitization of quality as we kind of move forward
From the consumer side or from the creator side?
from the
Because
consumer
I have
side?
two different answers.
Giving both answers, man. Come on now, don't hold back.
All right. So the real creators, the creators who actually care about what they put out to the marketplace and to their community are right. We want it to sound right. We want it to sound right better than we want it to look right. I can
Mm,
deal with crappy video. I can deal with 720 480p better than I can deal with crappy audio. Right.
Mm,
So creators who care about the content that they put out to their community are going to be focused on the audio first and make sure that that is stellar. Hopefully that doesn't go away. I'm gonna try to be an optimist and a glass half full person
yeah.
to say we're going to continue to be locked in on that. Now, from the consumer side, again, half of the answer was the same way there, right? If I got my podcast on, I'm at the gym and I'm listening to something, it's got to sound right still as well. So I expect it to be of high quality, but I do want to be able to consume as much content as possible. So
Mm,
if it's not at 320 and it's only at 160 kilobits per, okay, I could probably deal with that. I would expect that all creators consciously keep in mind that their consumers, their base, their community are focused on the content. And if I can't hear the content, I'm gonna
mm,
leave. You're gonna
mm,
lose a subscriber.
mm.
You're gonna lose a member. You're gonna lose an
Right.
advocate for what it is that you're trying to talk about. So the quality of the content has to stay for, at the forefront of what it is that we do when we push out this information to
yeah,
our
yeah,
constituents.
yeah. It's interesting. We talk about this discussion around quality or sound quality. I consume a lot of podcasts. I actually consume and listen to a lot of my podcasts. At 1.5 the speed, sometimes 2.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start to think about the actual, I'm not concerned at that point about the quality. I'm more concerned about the actual getting the information at that point in time, and then I can consume it, and I can consume it that way. So I think about the idea of us, from a consumption standpoint, making sure that one, quality is first, because we have to continue to actually know our audience. If we don't know our audience, it doesn't even matter kind of what we are trying to put out there. I want to make sure I get to a couple of these questions that we have have here. So Robert has a question, and it's a good question. I'll allow you guys. What do you think the biggest short-term impact will be on podcast and the long term? We kind of talked a little bit about that, but this, I want to throw that out to Corey first.
Well, you didn't give me a chance to answer about
Oh,
the creator
my bad.
side.
Go ahead, man. Go for it,
Man,
dude.
no,
Go for
don't be
it.
skipping over
Real quick.
Corey, man. Come
I'm
on,
sorry,
man.
Corey. Feel bad.
No,
My
Man.
bad.
I
What is
think
wrong
part of
with
these
him?
conversations,
Damn,
and
son.
this is probably this is probably the technical science side of me, right? And when I talk to people about recording their podcasts, we're talking about technology, but the one thing we tend to forget about this conversation is the technology of the human ear has not changed.
Yes.
And
Mm.
at the end of the day, it's the creator's responsibility to give the highest quality audio, simply because of ear fatigue. When you go to audio recording school, you learn about ear fatigue, about protecting your hearing and stuff. Certain frequencies we hear, certain frequencies we don't hear, but it's still fatigue. And our brain has been designed to kind of ignore certain things, when we're not paying attention and stuff like that. So tell people, if it's a painful experience, it's really about the experience you give them, right? For the quality portion. So if it's a painful experience, like James was saying, if I can't stand to listen to it, I'm gonna be out, right?
Mhm.
That comes from the frequencies that your ears receiving, and how and everybody has different thresholds of pain, right? So for me, I hate very, very high frequencies. I can hear them, and it's painful. So because I know after about a few minutes, my ears are like, I don't want to do this. My brain is like, I can't do this. I can't process it. So I make sure that people understand that portion. And I think that's where the AI stuff comes in, where it helps to keep it within the threshold that of what the standard for audio recordings is. But I think as content creators, a lot of people don't understand that side. I went to school for audio recording, so I'm always cognizant of the ear fatigue portion. And it's not just for engineers in the studio all day long. It's also for consumers, especially since the invention of the headphones, human hearing loss has gone up significantly. Typically what happened in older ages is happening much more at younger ages. So you have to be cognizant of that, because we need to be responsible if our consumers are listening to it in headphones.
Mm.
So that's just, I think we have a social responsibility to that.
It's our duty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
our duty. Come on,
Yeah.
man. Step up to the plate, folks. It's our duty.
Corey, man, Corey, I know. See, Corey just ain't just a pretty New York. You know what I'm saying? Look at that.
We're pretty ornaments.
He ain't just he ain't just the eye candy, for tonight. You know what I'm saying? He just, he make sure you subscribe to my my YouTube channel because of Corey, if that's the case. I appreciate that.
You gonna have me on every show?
Yeah, I'm gonna have him on every show. Next thing, when I had James and Junaid on when I first launched Podcasters Live, my subscriber count went up. I was that was a supermodel episode. Anyway, Corey,
Still waiting on my Cash App to come.
I reinvested that money, man. I reinvested. That's what we do. If we could answer Robert's question real quick, Corey, I appreciate that.
So the biggest short-term impact I see is you're going to see an influx of a lot of different ideas, a lot of different products coming into the market, some good, some great, some bad. Long-term, it's like everything else. When you see something technological come into to our societies, right? It's going to start to sort itself out on the long term, and then some things are gimmicky and they're going to die out in that capacity. So the people who make really great products and who are constantly adapting their product to the needs of the market as it's changing are going to be the ones you're going to see on a more long-term scale in this space. So I'm just excited. I'm just like, I love seeing all the ideas, and then I'm like, like, let's see the battle royal that happens, and the consolidation that's going to happen as more people use this platform, use this technology and get more creative with it.
Excellent.
My big prediction
go ahead.
is Pod Fade is going to go from 6 episodes to 8.
Well,
That's my last question for tonight. That's your prediction for that one.
Yes. Yeah, from
Because
6
you
to
still
8.
got to do the work. because you still
Yeah,
listen to me,
exactly.
man.
Right. Still gotta do it.
You still got to do the work. It doesn't
Mm,
matter how many episodes that you can have ChatGPT write for you. This is just my perspective, Robert, on this. It doesn't matter. You can do it, but you still got to do the work. I got a poll going on. I think Corey answered the poll, and it's on. I actually have it on LinkedIn, and I also have it in a couple of different groups. And it talks about is asking what's the one thing about podcasting that the podcasting process that you dislike. And what it is not it's not the recording side of it. It's the afters that we're actually seeing. It's the editing and it's some of the after aspects of it. So it's not so much that people don't they dislike the recording, they still got to do it, but the after side of it. And my long-term perspective is and thought is that I think AI is going to help with that after those after aspects or post-production perspectives on podcasting. So I got a heckler in the building, and James is usually my heckler, but I got this other guy here, Pro Scale
Watch
Models.
out.
He's not a heckler. That's my man. Been knowing Wayman. I call him Eddie. Been knowing him for 20 plus years. He is one of the best tattoo artists here in Atlanta, but his channel Pro Skills Model is also just blowing up. He's doing some amazing things here, and he's a creator as well. But his perspective, he says, evening. I hear a lot about chat and document AI, but you guys haven't touched upon the
mm.
visual art. You can totally
Mm.
create a feeling with AI. A soul. What are your thoughts? What are you guys' thoughts about that? James, I'm gonna start with you on this one.
Yeah, look, what was it? A few months ago when the app came out, and we all made the visual IG avatar in AI, and what was it? They had the Pope. They did an avatar of him, a fake one, not too long ago. Um, again, I'm of the aspect of understanding and embracing these pieces of technology, and if it makes sense to leverage it within your business, within your workflow, within your environment for your community. And I keep talking about community because that's the
Come
reason
on,
why we're doing this. We're not doing
come
this
on.
for ourselves. If it makes sense to leverage visual AI, imagery, uh, document, text, things of that nature, then go ahead and take advantage of that, but use it very, very intentionally. Uh, I've used it. I don't use it extensively because, again, I don't like the way the visual AI actually changes the reality aspect. Right? You can actually tell that it's cloudy. It's not accurate. You can tell that it's actually computer generated. It's kind of CGI from a perspective, right? So I
Mm,
would use it more as a secondary piece of content as opposed to a primary piece like on the thumbnail or something of that nature. But I will take advantage of visual AI just to have a an A or B, right?
mm,
From a thumbnail's perspective when I put something out. But again, it's our due diligence and it's our responsibility again, just like we were talking about earlier, to know about those pieces. So if we're coaching folks, right, not only are we content creators, but we're looking at other folks, and other folks are looking at us saying, you know what, Cher knows 10% more than I do.
mm,
Corey
mhm,
knows 10% more than I do. So I'm going to look to them as that subject matter expert. And I'm going to ask them. And if we and she or he haven't done that due diligence and that hasn't done that work to
mhm,
figure out what those other things do, how can you really have a thought provoking conversation about use this, don't use that, take a look at that, but maybe stay away from that?
mm,
Right. So we have to actually be deep in it. We have to actually try it. We have to break it. We have to try to put it back together and understand what all these different visual, textual, um, document, audio, all these pieces of artificial intelligence do from a content creation perspective.
yeah.
Damn, I got
And
some long answers, man. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
you do, man. You do. I'm gonna have to cut you off like a
You know,
like this is a
I'm drinking
debate.
that.
Just
This is that
thinking
Like
new
you're
coffee
like
putting
I'm drinking.
I'm gonna
4
I'm
cut you.
over here drinking
Yeah.
that new
content
coffee.
Look,
creators
sir, you
on
have
your
5 minutes
show.
to answer the question. 2 minutes to answer the question. But we do. So share. I do want to bring you in on this because you just went live last night, and
Mm,
you spoke about this app that actually creates 100. I think it was 100 different AI photos, and you
yeah.
did a great job. If you guys haven't checked out the Just Ask Share live stream, make sure you go check that out from last night. You could talk about the company, but you actually created an amazing kind of contextual contrast perspective on. I'll let you answer it yourself and what you did last night. So that way that comes right from you, not from me.
Okay. So last night I shared on my Tap That App 2Ps segment of the show. I talked about this incredible site. It's $17. It's called tryiton.ai. And basically it like 10 to 20 selfie shots in different clothing, different background, clear shots of you, and it will come up with 100 professional looking photos based off of what you submitted. And I've seen some people, so the person Allie K. Miller, who is like the AI queen, that literally she's amazing. And I hooked up with her in the summer, and we went, or in the fall, and we went to the Toronto National Film Festival together. So we had a selfie. And so I shared that selfie against those other 5 pictures. And to be honest, they look like her. You could still see that AI art, but they were well and good enough to be usable, to submit if you're speaking in your, because the thing with photos is, after a while, if you speak a lot or if you're showing up on different podcasts and all that stuff, you get sick of seeing that same picture. And you really do. I know I do,
Speak
right?
the
And
truth.
so
Go
it's
ahead,
just
speak the truth.
so even if you get, for $17, even if you get 12 or 13 out of 100 pictures that are usable, right? That's a great bargain, and we'll never replace a photographer. And let me just never say never, but there's just things that a photographer can do and use the real you, and then the real you looks like you because it's you. And that's a whole other thing, as far as like the bodies and the faces, because these are only headshots, right? So that's representing you. So it was really well done. But then I've seen some other people post their results on the internet, and they weren't that great. So, but at the end of the day, for $17, is worth trying it, right? I think you can upgrade for another $6, and a human editor will go in and like touch it up. Like the ones that you pick will
So
touch
you
it up.
still need a
So
human.
you still need a human, but it's getting closer and closer. And
Yeah.
as I showed that picture, that comparison, it looked like her. There was no question about it. And then there's another person I want to bring people's attention to. She's on LinkedIn as well. Her name is Jay Stone. So J apostrophe AI Stone. And she does a lot of, she's a Black creator. She does a lot of AI art, and she just launched a collection of like it's kind of it's like a Stepford husbands, but they're all Black men in kitchen doing stuff like that, and they're all concepted and created through AI. And it's incredible what you can do with that. And one other use case, so one other troubling use case right now is Levi's, for example.
No.
In they were in the news last week because somebody in their brilliant self said, "You know what? We're not diverse enough in our market. We're going to use AI models to make it more diverse." I'm like, "Okay, why would you tell real people that?"
Yeah, that's a
And
problem.
two, that's a very scary problem. That, again, going to the ethics of AI, is okay. Everybody's job is somewhat in jeopardy, because now you've got fake people selling to real people,
Mm,
right, through AI. And then who are the real models that are going to get picked? What is the pecking order of picking, right? And
hmm
then, so it's just like those things that are starting to get a little more scary. Why pay diversity? Why pay like for diversity? Why pay for models, like, when you can make it yourself, right? And
mm,
so that's a scary thing, but at the same time, a positive use case from the art perspective, and may not go as far as art. But I was watching a presentation today, and he said that he created a lot of the graphs and the slides, like the kind of like the infographics, using AI. So sometimes, when you're looking for something to illustrate your point, you can
mm,
have AI help
mm,
you illustrate that in a presentation
hmm
as a graph that you would normally have had to pay a lot of money for, and you can get it the way you want to, if you have the capability of commanding it, which goes into the prompt engineering side of this
mm.
conversation as well.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna talk about that here in a second too. Actually, next. Um, one quick question we had. Black Woman Stitch wanted to know the name of that app again. Share. I
Try
guess it
it
was.
on
Mhm.
dot AI. So try it on, like try on your clothes, try it on dot AI.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with you here, Chair, for this next. I want to talk about prompt engineering, ethics, and then we're going to give you get you guys your predictions for the year, and then we're going to let you guys out of here. Um, one of the things that if you have been doing anything with any of these AIs, Bard, ChatGPT, or whatever, I am of the opinion that a lot of people are just almost just utilizing it almost just from a surface level and not really digging deep with it and really getting out of it what it can actually give you. Um,
Hmm.
you and I, we've been really looking at this thing around prompt engineering. You more so than me. I think I've just kind of like put my toe in it. You've like jumped off a cliff and like, yo, this is I'm all up in this thing. Could you talk a little bit about this idea concept around prompt engineering and what it is, and then how people can actually kind of think differently around how to maximize? Because it's going to be here, people are going to use it. So I think it's best that we try to help people understand how to maximize its potential.
Right. So, because I've been doing so much study on this, one of the consistent analogies that I've been hearing is garbage in, garbage out. Right. So, if you're asking it not a great question, if you're asking it for basic stuff, guess what? It's going to give you basic answers. But the minute you can frame what you're asking for, so if you want it to, for example, think like a copywriter because you're getting it to write copy, or and then you can talk about the audience, for example, that it's writing towards. Like the more information you give it, even asking, it's like once you give it and feed it the right information, it just depends on what the prompt is, what you want it to create. The more detailed you are with that prompt, the better quality of information you can get out. And one thing that I feel is really helpful for anybody is your own work and then help it, like, and as an example, use this text for context, or use this text and make sure it's written in this type of voice. So again, there are so many different things. Again, it does matter on what you're asking it to do, because not every where voice is contextual to the output, but you have to get smart about what you're asking for, and then you have to don't just accept the first output.
Yeah,
Dive
yeah,
deeper, dig into it, and really get it to even, you can even create a prompt that it is telling you how to ask it a better prompt.
yeah.
So that to me blew my mind, so that you can engineer it in such a way that your question will say, show me how to ask you a better prompt and what questions you need to know, and it will just go through questions and produce something. I'll stop talking now, but there's just so much. It's so scary but so good.
Yeah. James, have you thought delved in a little deeper with kind of that prompt engineering aspect of the content or the outputs that you want to receive from utilizing ChatGPT, all any of the different AIs that are out there right now?
Yeah, say that 3 times fast, right? You know,
I know,
after
right?
a
I know.
couple of after a couple of scotches, right?
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Man, to be honest with you, no, I haven't, right? But I'm still in the investigative stage of that, right?
Mm,
Because again, trying to wrap my head around how I want to effectively use what I use today, right? So again, I'm kind of locked in. I'm kind of focused in on using the GPT-4s and the perplexities for a specific task and a specific ask that I need right now. As I find the bandwidth to
hmm
have some additional pieces of my workflow integrated into an AI algorithm, then I'll start looking at that. So it's on the Notion list for sure. But again, I haven't personally dove into the prompt metrics and things of that nature just yet.
Notions, man. There you go. Good shout out to Notions,
Come
man.
on now.
Shout out to
Here,
Notions.
let me give you
Notions,
guys like one tip that you can do right away.
go for it.
So I'm one of those people who I will voice record myself. I will dictate what I'm thinking about, like a content idea, into my phone. You can take that, whatever you've dictated, right, and ask ChatGPT to create a video script out of it. Ask it with that information. So you've already talked to your phone. You've already come out with your ideas, your concepts. I did this with a client where it's like I asked her, what is the way that you onboard your clients? Like, how do you do it? Explain it to me. I took some notes while she was talking just to kind of show her how it works, right? And it was just some high level notes. And then I asked it to think like her title, onboarding this to this type of client, and write an article in a very conversational and encouraging tone. And it literally took her step by step. And I asked it to write it step by step. And it wrote it in her voice, because I used like the nuances of her speech and put that in there. And I gave it I just cut and paste my notes into that. And then it came out with an article that was so far ahead. She needs to do now is edit it, and then she has something that sounds like her. It's exactly what she would say because it is her words, it is her instructions. So the same thing is, you can go and literally dictate something into your phone and ask it to write an article about this, using the in quotes for context, and it will write it for you. And that is a fire, like a lightning quick way to produce something, or at least produce a first draft that you can edit from.
I like that. I think it's getting the information, as close to your voice as possible, and then massaging it so that it actually sounds, as much as you as possible. And that leads us to this last topic around ethics, right? There are so many, I think, ethical or possibly unethical, unethical things that could possibly come out of it when you start to overutilize this. Um, am I overreaching when I say that we have some ethical issues when it comes to Chat GPT or some of these other AI kind of learning pieces, right? We already talked we talked a little bit about this off camera. We already see it in academia, right? We already see it with papers and art, essays and all this other stuff with, for students, right? And they're having to have these kind of AI detectors, from a content standpoint. Um, am I overreaching when I say that there are some ethical issues that we need to look at and think about? And if I'm not, what are some of those things, so that the audience can kind of think about as they kind of continue down this content creation journey perspective? And I'm going to start with you, James.
Well, you're not overstepping, you're not overthinking, because we already have seen this past week the open letter written by a lot of Silicon Valley entrepreneurs and CEOs, including Elon Musk, who started OpenAI or was an early investor in OpenAI, who say we kind of need to pump these brakes, right? We're going head first, both feet in, whatever analogy that you want to use, with artificial intelligence in every aspect of what it is that we do as a society, right? As a country, more likely, right? So there are some ethical conversations that need to be had in terms of when, where, and how to leverage it. Right. Again, being intentional about it. We keep talking about that, and that really shouldn't be overstated about the intentionality of taking advantage of this new technology. So, uh, you drink too much water and it's bad for you. Right. I mean, so all things that maybe you think that are good, there are some negative and there's some downsides to it. So I'm not a fan of too much oversight, to be honest with you. I'm more of a fan of responsibility. I'm more a fan of, again, if you're going to leverage and take advantage of this technology, make sure that you, again, are intentional and you know what you're doing. Use it for the best interest of whatever that outcome is that you're trying to obtain. It's going to get interesting because, again, now we have the government starting to get involved in the technology aspect, because, again, it's becoming so pervasive, not just content creation, but in business, like Cher was talking about, even from an ad blurry line, just in that Levi Strauss conversation right there. And someone needs to nip that in the bud really quickly before that goes level, right? Before they start doing some other types of things. So being aware and being cognizant about that, and just having maybe some type of board, some type of did I do something? What did I do? She laughing at
No,
me.
no,
Okay.
no, no. We're laughing
No,
at
I read the
Gabe's
comment.
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 Okay. Okay. Y'all just threw me off my game.
I'm
I'll
so
just say
No,
this.
sorry.
you were talking about a board. You were talking about
I'll say
developing a
this.
board. You're talking about developing a board. It's
I'm
about the board.
talking about some type of oversight, but again, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of oversight, but just ethical responsibility in terms of taking advantage and utilizing technology, especially when it comes to. I'm a big proponent of how things affect, especially our youth, right? So
Yeah.
again, if we start into a cloudy direction to where our youth are being very influenced from a negative perspective of how artificial intelligence, machine learning, AR, VR, those types of things are utilized, then we really need to pump those brakes and really understand what the core value and the core benefit is for using those pieces of technology.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm listening to you, James. I was just laughing at Black Woman Stitch.
I'm over here trying to be serious, looking
Have you,
dead in the screen, and y'all over here cracking jokes.
dude? We ain't cracking jokes.
Nah,
We got it's the audience that's actually out here cracking
is that
jokes. You
right?
guys are
Okay,
they are
let me
amazing
see
out
what's
here.
going on, man. Let
They
me
are
see what's
amazing out
going
there. So
on.
have you met humans? We are terrible at being responsible.
Exactly.
We are.
I'm
I had
trying
to
to be
put that one
somewhat,
up.
PC here on the Steve Worthy show. I'm trying not to
Man,
say too many things.
she said, have you met humans? We are terrible at being responsible. It's not a joke. It's not. I know it ain't no joke. I know it's not a joke. Corey, give me your perspective and your thoughts around, ethics and AI. Have you come across anything with any of your clients and with this content that they want to create, things that they want to put out, in anything that you've seen or that you could potentially see as you move forward?
It's a lot of.
Not a lot of
I think
questions.
for me, I'll go this path on the ethical conversation. I am concerned. You brought up the Jay-Z. I heard the same thing, and though it sounded like Jay-Z, you can clearly tell it was AI. You could hear
Yeah.
it in it. But that's the thing that concerns me, especially as podcasters, content creators, because you're freely giving your voice and your likeness out to the world, right? To a
Mm.
degree, right? Like we're doing it right now. Someone
Yeah.
can come and take it. This been about an hour, right? Over a little over an hour. There's enough data here for somebody to take our voices and likenesses and to create something, and somebody can have it out for you and be like, you know what, I'm gonna put this out there. So I see that's where my ethical standpoint comes in. I mean, when I was in school back in 2013, the plagiarism thing and all that stuff, they already had all that in
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I would run my reports through the program. I had to do all of that and give it to my professor. So I'm not concerned about that area because there's already tools out there that have been tried and tested. I'm concerned about the likenesses. I see some shorts and stuff that are funny where they take like president voices and they do things with them. But the area,
Mm.
because I see a lot of lawsuits happening soon. I
Mhm.
see a lot of case law being made, and I think there is going to be government oversight at some point because that's just what our government likes to do when anytime it's emerging technology. Um,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I think we as I think this is also the other side of the ethics. I think we as content creators are going to have to start protecting ourselves more. So for those people who look at their copyrights and trademarks and stuff like that as, oh, I'll do that when I get to it. I think now it's going to be even more important for you to do that
Mm.
to protect
Yes, yes,
yourself,
sir.
so that when
Yes, sir.
Yes.
somebody does do that, you're going to see a lot more libel lawsuits, defamation law. You're going to see a whole lot more because there are always going to be people who are going to take the technology and use it for whatever, without caring about the outcomes or anything like that. So it's just going to make, I think it's going to make serious content creators more serious about protecting themselves, but also it's just the dangerous part of, I know there's probably people out there right now trying to figure out how to throw some bad content out on me that I've rubbed the wrong over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's coming. It's
but
coming. I already got it
yeah, it's
planned.
coming. So you heard it here first. It's not me. It's AI.
I
Mhm.
already
But
got that's why I got you talking for so long right now.
so Steve's a mastermind. Now I know. But
It's coming.
I think for me that's what my concern on the ethical side of it is really on protecting content creators from the abuses that are going to happen from this.
Yeah. Excellent. Now, Sharon, you have been
Yeah.
preaching since I've known you, the IP like like drum for like the longest, like just around your content and around all the things that you have actually created. Corey makes a really good point around around kind of creating what or protecting what you have created. What are some of your thoughts around this whole idea around ethics and AI as well?
I think there's some interesting things that okay, so we already have with sponsored content, right? We already have those kind of laws in place where if you have a sponsored episode, if you're working with a sponsored, the sponsor, you have to put that hashtag sponsor, let people know that this is, these links will lead to affiliate links and all that kind of stuff. Are we going to have to get to the point where we're made with AI, or something
Mm,
like that? Or what about so from the other side, you're selling their wares. How are you as a consumer, if you're working with an agency, if you're working with somebody, how like do you know what you're for anymore? Are you paying for stuff that was just, oh, write me some blog articles, like all that stuff, and they're just like putting it through chat GPT and then like, oh, here are your articles, right?
mm,
Especially if they were like a mediocre creator, whatever the case may be. Like there's a great website called aidetector.com, and there's like about 8 or 9 listed on there right now where you can go and check to see if an article or whatever you have, it will give you the likelihood of it being like if it was created by AI or not. So I just think that there's so much to to uh, impact how we charge, what we're charging for now. Because, like, I mean, if you're a creator, you'd be dumb not to use AI in your process. Just like I think anybody who's not using AI right now, you're you need to really rethink your life. I know that sounds so crazy and drastic, but it is at that point now where like it is an assist, even if it's just an assist to move things along faster, or looking at, just giving yourself more to work with, other ideas that you didn't think of, because it's great for ideation as well, at least to put you on a path. It's always going to be help you be more efficient, help you produce faster. So you've got to figure out how it works in your workflow for what you do. But then it's like the ethics around the creativity side, and you selling these works,
mm,
right, and
mm.
making slight tweaks. And this is where like the whole IP thing, it's like I think we're going to be in a really weird stage of the law, because the IP laws are still old. They don't
Yeah,
reflect a lot of the digital advancements, especially these current ones. They're like, 10 years back.
Right.
So it's like we are now, and we know how quick the law and legislation is in general to into law, right?
yeah.
And so it's just, I don't know, it's just a very scary time, and the ethics around this is crazy,
Mm.
as creators and as consumers of creative products.
Yeah. Guys, get your, audience, get your last questions in or thoughts. We're going to be closing up with
Oh,
this
that's a
last
great
question here in a
question from
second.
Tally there.
Yeah, yeah, I'm about to talk about that one. And we got one more question I want to ask everybody. But the Italian, I love this, Italian. In in this case, will people now? I have already trademarked my voice. I have already done. No, I haven't yet. I haven't, but
Oh, I
I'm
was gonna
about
say,
to.
when?
I'm about to.
I think James Earl Jones did, and I think he sold it to Disney or something like
Yeah.
that
Mm.
for Star Wars, so for Darth Vader. I'm not
Yeah,
sure, I remember reading something about that.
James and I are both doing it, and
Okay.
We got the paperwork already. Listen, I just got to sign it.
Yeah, Corey's. No one cares about Corey's voice, so it's all good.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I've already AI'd Corey's voice, and you're gonna see him in a couple of posts coming up. You know,
Steve, what's
Man,
that show that you were watching? The one
oh
in the
yeah, I was
UK one?
just about to
Yeah.
talk about that, man. It was called. It's on Peacock, and it's called the Capture, and it talks about the world of deep fake,
mm,
in the context of being able to digitize someone's complete image, their voice, their mannerisms, everything. It actually, I'm not spoiling anything when I talk about in the context of they had he wasn't the prime minister, but he was the home secretary, as they pronounce it. But they deep faked him so bad where he was actually saying stuff that he didn't completely believe in, but it wasn't him. It was actually a deep fake. It was a digitized version of him, and it was just it was so well done, so well done. So technology like that is already out there. I it is already out there. So if you're not aware, if you are thinking that these things are going to pass, AI is not going
Mhm.
anywhere.
It's just going to get
It is
better.
here to stay. I just think that I think the learning curve is kind of is small, is short now, but I think it's going to get a lot steeper as it relates to what you input into AI and what you want to get out of it. Um, One of the last questions I want to ask you guys, I always want to ask. I know we already kind of we just finished first quarter. We just finished first quarter. I want to ask you guys some quick predictions around not so much just AI, but just around like what you see in your world around sharing whether it's personal branding and content creation. Corey with podcasts, James with technology. I just really always like to end with this question because I think it gives the audience some perspective and maybe something else to kind of think about as they start to end the show, as they start to think about their day tomorrow. They're like, "Oh, I just heard this last night," and that's actually pretty good. So I'm going to start with you, James. What's one of your predictions or thoughts?
I believe that meaningful relationships will come back to being something that's important.
Uh,
I've
Come
been
on, man.
using the word. I've been talking about community. I've been talking about being intentional a lot tonight, right? And I'm conscious of that. And I really think that folks who are shepherds of a community, shepherds of an audience, are going to be intentional again about building and fostering those relationships. So I really believe that taking advantage of all this technology, finding a way to streamline workflows, finding a way to reach new and different people is going to become front of mind in terms of, again, what solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, brand specialists, whatever the case may be, that I want to have a real genuine connection, a real genuine conversation, a real genuine conversation with folks that are like-minded. So I'm
Mm.
predicting and I'm hoping and I'm positively thinking that that's going to come about within this next few months before the end of the calendar year. More
Yeah.
meaningful, focus, conversations, and communications, and dialogue with people around us.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think we're seeing that because right the previous 2 years right with COVID and so many live things being canceled, conferences and travel and all of that stuff. I know we are, we as Americans we have very short memories. We're like COVID, but what was that? That dude, that was just six. We were just 6 7 months ago that we were like it was up there, but I think we're starting to see, of course, things open up with conferences and things like that. And I think people are still longing for that interpersonal, that authentic connection, James. So I really appreciate that. I completely agree. Corey, what are some of your thoughts? And then I'm gonna close this out with some of the comments that we have. We got quite a few more comments that I want to make sure that we kind of get to, that everybody gets their words up on the screen as well. But Corey, what's your thought or your perspective for the rest of the year prediction?
Well, I was in line with James. As a community leader, I think I've heard people like saying like communities basing, building a community around your brand or your podcast is kind of dying out. Just by having this conversation and us talking about AI and deep fakes and stuff, I think it's going to be even more important for you to have some kind of connection to your audience to ensure that you protect your likeness, that you protect your content, um, and to because people as it becomes more and more prevalent and normalized in society, people are going to we're always seeking authenticity, right? We seek it in our friendships, our families, and so by keeping building a community around what you're doing and keeping connected to that community, you will always have that transparency, that authenticity. So I just see podcasters kind of adopting that more and making more of an effort towards that as we see the more of the AI stuff and people clamoring and getting being more fearful of it in the content creation space. Um, but that, and I also just see like, podcasts is also turning into more multimedia type of business people.
Yeah.
Because
Mm.
yeah, podcasting in my book is still audio format, but the truth of the matter is you need to have some kind of presence on YouTube. You need to have a presence on your social media platforms. You have to have, because there's people that are consuming content in different places and different types of content. So you got to be able to reach those audiences where you need to meet them. So I
Yeah.
predict that as well as more podcasters getting into what you guys do, like with the live streaming and making videos and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you with around the authenticity around um podcasting and the voice and the audio aspect of podcasting, because one of the things that are starting to see in the podcasting world is the idea around these radio stations and podcasting, where they're using these they're supposed to be your voice, where you can actually speak into something and actually record a podcast, and it'll spit out, or you could type in your stuff and it'll spit out things based on your voice. doesn't sound like doesn't sound like the person at all. I
Mhm.
still think people are going to want the quality and understanding and hearing your voice, because like Corey mentioned earlier around the listening and hearing technology, and the science around listening. I think that's super important. So I'm glad you brought that up, Corey, because I don't think a lot of people really kind of understood that piece. So thank you for making that point. Chair Jones, what's your big prediction and thoughts around for the rest of the year?
My one of my predictions, excuse me, is around just trust. There's going to be, unless we can get and interact and engage with people, whether it's live streaming or whether it's face to face, there is going to be less trust. And I think that's going to impact the creators. So, those who create those opportunities to build trust, you're going to see that they're going to flourish. And I also think, as I try to,
Oh,
for
you all
some
right?
reason,
You choking all right? There you go.
yeah,
Cough it out. Cough it
um,
out.
there we go, cough it out. As we try to, I think this is also going to be a really unique time for those who actually take advantage of this content, or sorry, of this technology, because you can
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
exponentially
mm-hmm,
grow in
mm-hmm.
this very short window. I think it's a very short window of opportunity, kind of like that first movers advantage that we know, like if you jump into a new network and it actually blows up and you were there early, you're winning. So I think it's the same thing with this. For a very short window, you can exponentially grow your footprint,
Mm.
improve your quality, get to a new level because of that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I want to go through a couple more of these comments real quick before we end up, because I think these are some importance. We need oversight. It's not about what the government likes. A government has to protect its citizens. Yes, eventually there should be an international law, for our countries, but not all will abide. So I appreciate that, Raphael, for doing that. True, share. AI is an assist, and fast movers will take it to market. Awesome. History
Mhm.
already points to bad faith players during, their focus on AI. 100%, a hundred
For sure.
percent. And then thank you, sir. I will do that. I will do that. I had to put that comment up there. That was kind of self-serving,
Mhm.
but it's my show, so I can do it. You know what I mean?
It's
Wow, trademark your
your
voice.
party. You can do what you want to,
You know what
huh?
I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't need I don't need anybody to green light podcasts is live. I can green light my own stuff. And this is Aliyah. I think I'll pronounce it correctly.
No,
I apologize.
Ilya.
Ilya. I said it right the first time, and I
Yeah,
messed it up. I messed
you
it up the
did.
second time. Ilya.
Trust your gut.
But
Trust your gut. Come
yeah,
on
trust
now.
my gut, right? Trust my gut. Trust my gut. Yeah, so right. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but of course she was just talking about she didn't have no idea that type of technology, is out there. Man, it's been out there for a while. Man, those people. I'm telling you,
It's
that's.
scary.
I am sticking to my gut. Um, just like I'm going to talk about something in a sec, but I'm going to stick to my gut around the fact that I honestly feel that the government just was like, here, give him something, give him a little treat. Here's Chat GPT, because it's too quick. There's Chat GPT 3, 3.5, and 4.0. There's plus. Come on, man. There was like, it was kind of like, just go ahead and give it to him or whatever too. And I'm gonna say this.
You know what they gave it? You know what they gave us?
Yeah,
so
what?
I would say to Ilya's statement right there. You know what they gave us? They gave us the bold glamour filter on TikTok. Have y'all
There
seen?
you go.
Huh? Okay, let's
Yes,
make it
I
plain,
have.
right? We were talking about visual AI right there, and that's a catfish on you right there, boy, because you do look different when you throw that bold glamour filter on TikTok. I'm just saying. I'll be quiet now.
No, that's all right, man. Dude, you can always talk, man. You can always talk. Stacey, I agree with all.
Sharon not gonna let me come back on the stream though. Sharon not gonna.
Authentic voices.
No. I'm right there with you, James.
Yeah, both of y'all talk too much though, but that's okay. I love both of you guys. You guys are awesome. Corey's there you go. Corey's doing his thing. Tally, in the end, I believe that everything human is going to be of the highest value. 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. And then for the cough.
Thank you. I'll get some alligator pepper for that cough.
Yeah, what is that?
No, you need some
Alligator pepper.
Get her some Robitussin.
I have to look it up, but I'm going to find
Yeah,
something.
man.
Yeah.
Alligator.
Get her some
I get some
Robitussin.
Canadian Buckley's.
That's some Nigerian
No,
stuff,
you need to
man,
know
that you got
Buckley's.
going on, Mr. Raphael. That's some stuff. I should know about that because I am like 39 and 40% Nigerian. I just found that out. Real quick, here's my. I don't know nobody care. I'm gonna get my own prediction anyway. I believe that at the end of the day, this whole thing around content creation, it is all about who you are and how you give life to whatever it is that's on this paper or whatever it is that is actually put out with AI or whatever it is. Because at the end of the day, you still have to present, you still have to deliver, and you still have to create connection, authentic connection, engagement with your audience. And Corey knows this, and I think Sharon knows this too. And I am a firm believer that if we start talking about podcasting, I am not anti-download, I am pro-consumption, meaning that I firmly believe that within the next 12 to 18 months, downloads are going to be a thing of the past. People are going to still kind of go after it. But I firmly believe that listening time or consumption is going to take the number one spot as a measurement of success as it relates to podcasting. And here's why. Is because when people listen to more of your content, that means that they actually like what you actually have to say. And advertisers want to know that. They want to know that if James has a podcast or a live stream, people are actually listening to 70, 85% of his actually live stream. So guess what? I can actually trust James. But if people are dropping off at 45, 50%, right? I don't know if that's a good investment for me. So at the end of the day, whoever you are, whenever you take this content, you actually have to put it into your own voice. And if you don't do that, you are going to be lost in the sauce. I don't care how much Chat GPT spits out for you, just doesn't matter. If you don't put it in your own voice, it's just not going to go anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. That's my thought, and I'm going to stick.
That's pretty good.
I'm going to stick to it, man. I'm going to stick to it. We got some more people. I want to make sure everybody get their voice heard tonight, man. Because we got some good people in the house. She says she saw a chat share on
We
Clubhouse.
did talk about Bard.
Yeah, okay. See?
Yeah, Raphael tends to be a little
It's all that alligator pepper.
It's all that alligator pepper, man. See, somebody agrees with me. You're all right. We are the life giving seeking content. That's great. And then we got Stacey rocking and rolling, man. You guys have been everybody except for James has been awesome tonight. Like everybody.
Yeah, it is. My job is done here.
Everybody has added so much value. When I was putting this together, I mistakenly told him that I was talking about. He's like, "Ooh, can I get on?" I was like, "Fine."
It is, but heckling from the back. See, okay.
That's it, man.
You know,
come on, man. You know I can't. You know I got to. Oh, look who's in the building. Look who showed up. She must just came from prayer. She just She's taking the credit
Amen.
for
No, see,
James.
amen.
She,
Amen.
there she go, what's going on?
Bring ye ties to the office.
to the storehouse. That's right.
Love me some
The
Mr. and Mrs.
U.S.
Nixon, boy.
economy. That's right. Okay.
Oh, that's good to
Okay.
know.
All right. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I did not know that.
They're trying to catch up.
Here's
You
the
have to go
thing.
on ChatGPT and look that up.
So we she said LOL. My bad. I was conquering another dimension. Oh, but okay. All right, Mr. What is it? Kane the Conquer.
Kane
Kane
the
the Conqueror. So here's
Mhm.
so Florence, you're ahead of yourself, and what I mean by that is that we got some stuff in the works, as it relates to you live streaming and podcasting, where we can connect with you afterwards, and it's not just on Zoom. We're working on with the company on some stuff. I think I'm going to try it out on Corey. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it, but I think I'm going to try it out when I do my live streaming, for Black Podcasters Association. But there's the after party piece. I love what you just said there, because we're gonna be messing around with that too. I want to go, man. Y'all keep making me stay. Look at this. There's a supermodel. There's a supermodel.
There you go,
There he
right
is.
there.
That
he
man
is.
right there.
My man just launched.
Looking like he needs to be on the J.C. Penney flyer.
He does.
Only us old hats, but can understand that right there. She said
Actually,
the
Spiegos
Montgomery Ward's catalog.
He needs to be in the Spiegos catalog. Those
there
of
you
us who
go.
know
Wow.
Spiegos, we know. Watching
Are
from the
old.
West Side. What's going on, James Rowley?
Yeah.
How are you doing? And Janae, congrats, man, on just on launching your studio building, your home studio building business. I know you just jumped into a full time, man. Congrats, and I appreciate you
Congrats.
because you gave me a little bit of feedback with some stuff that I was doing here. I actually also with my old studio, man. So I really appreciate that. How can someone can get in contact with y'all? All right, and that was going to be the last thing I wanted to say too, but Tally beat me to it. Mr. James, how can people get in contact with you, buddy?
Man, everything was right there on hicksnewmedia.com. That's the place to go. That is the hub, the digital hub for everything from community, from engagement, from to live streaming to schedule, all of that right there to hicksnewmedia.com.
Cool. Mr. Corey.
You can find me on all social media platforms. The Black Podcasters Association. That's the best way to find us, because there's so many different spellings because of how long our name is. But if you're interested in learning about the community, you can go to blackpodcastersassociation.com. And if you want to get up on our newsletter, it's blackpodnews.com.
Yeah, you guys are like Shield.
Shield or
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, to shorten that joint up to
Wakanda
Shield.
forever
to
up in there, boy. Okay.
It's like
Yeah.
it's not even
Okay,
Shield.
the BPA, but the other BPA.
The other BPA, it's not even like BAPS. You can't even do BAPS with it. It's just BPA. I'm just busting.
Nothing.
Oh my goodness.
And
Cher
thankfully, me and
Jones.
Tally are connected. Yes, so Tally and I are already connected on LinkedIn, and that's the best place for you to come and hang out and connect with me over on LinkedIn. So just look me up there. Of course, visit my website, which is trainwithsociallyactive.com. And we'll definitely put that info in the comments so you get to connect with everybody. And over on all socials, it's Cher Jones. So ITS Cher Jones. Find me everywhere.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And their information will be I'll make sure like right afterwards and put it all in there as well too. But all of their information will be also in the descriptions as well too. And Latrice says yes, just shorten it to I don't know about that one. Okay, BP Association. All I saw was the two S's, and that just messed me up for a little bit too. That just messed me up a little bit. See, we can do this all night. Or we can do this all day. Like
This is the after show right now. This
you
is
know,
a, this is
I know, right?
I don't want to. I don't want to go, man. I got you guys all. I got you guys here. I got some water. I don't got to use the bathroom. I feel good. Worked out. You know,
You
James. I know
sound
you
straight
worked
like
out
an old
today.
man right there. I ain't got to go to the bathroom, so I'm good. So you good for another
My
15
joints
minutes?
ain't
Is that
stiff.
you so stupid. You so stupid. Man,
Oh, wow.
this brother is crazy. You recording this right now too, right?
That's it. That's it. I'm
It's
good.
gonna be
I'm good.
broadcasted everywhere on
We
all of
gonna
our
link in with
channels.
this right now. Yeah, you know we
Yes,
on LinkedIn with this. We're
exactly.
not just on
That's right.
I
on
know, man.
Twitch
We
with
on
this.
all
We on.
forums. That's okay. You know.
I'm trying
I'm
to.
a,
You know, we try to get
I'm a little
consultant
more.
money. You
I'm
talking
a
about
little
going to the
more
bathroom?
subdued with retail leadership, but with Podcasters Live, you know, I keep it. I keep it live, man. I keep it live. You know, people they laugh. They like. They
100%.
like our jokes, man. They like our
You're
jokes.
like, he's so crazy.
You know, he's so crazy. Oh, see, I think I want to have you. Okay, that's a whole nother lyric as well, too. So, oh, an old man, not wise man. There you go. There you go. Ilya, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not an old man. Time to repurpose. Time to
Season.
repurpose that piece. No need to use the restroom. I'm good.
Junaid, I'm recording this all, so I got the isolated tracks. You know I'm gonna put that out there in a couple hours. Yep, bruh.
Actually, I'm gonna deep fake it. I'm gonna use Corey's voice to say it. I gotta go to
That sound like
bathroom.
Rocky.
I gotta go to bathroom. BPA gotta go to bathroom. I'm gonna deep fake all of that joint.
Just send me my check. That's all I ask.
I'm
That's all you
gonna
want.
deep fake all of that. All right, man. Y'all got stuff to do, and like I said, I can keep you guys here all night. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys so much, man, for who you are and what you do. What you've done for me personally, what you've done for the Podcasters Live community, not just tonight, but you know, just kind of throughout. Um, you guys are always, and you guys know this, you guys are always welcome, you know, to be here because I know the value that you guys add, and who you are and the character of who you are. So those people who are still listening in the audience, the character for me of whoever we bring on the show is so important. And these three that you see right here, the character is just through the roof, right? And that interpersonal connection and engagement that we have, and what you see here, us joking around, dude. I can do this all day with these guys, and I truly appreciate you guys as well too. All right, I'm gonna close this.
Same.
I'm gonna close this out, and thank you guys. Any last parting words? But stay in the studio for a second. Any last words? Words
No,
of
I'm
wisdom?
good.
Thank you. Thank
No,
you for
just
the
thanks again for
opportunity.
the opportunity,
Thank
man.
you.
All right,
Mhm.
all right, cool. Ooh, man, oh man. Let me go change that up. Woo! Like I said, I could have kept going all night. I really hope that you guys got something out of tonight. You know, the goal was to kind of take AI and kind of flip it on its head a little bit in the context of understanding what it is, not being afraid of it, but then how you can leverage it for your own success with your podcast and your content creation. The worst thing that you can do is to be afraid of something new from a technological standpoint. I understand it. I get it. I've been there, but I'm here to let you know that you don't need to be afraid. You have heard it tonight. You have gotten some really great takeaways. People have actually spoke about it at length. There are some ethical issues that we of course spoke about, but at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you are actually part of the kind of learning process with AI and not somebody who's actually going to be on the back end of it, because if you do, you will be left behind. And I want you to be on the forefront. I want you to be on the front foot with everything as it relates to this. Podcast is live, man. We are here, of course, every Saturday at 10 a.m. And we talk about different topics, so you can check us out, of course, on our website, podcasterslive.com, or anywhere else as well. We want to thank you for being here tonight. If you're looking at this in a replay, you got some value out of it. Make sure you put some thoughts or some questions or whatever it is that you want to put in the comment. We appreciate you so much. Let me make sure I got this sorted so that we can go ahead and get this thing. There we go. That we can go ahead and get this thing right when I close this out. All right. Have a great night and God bless.